Hi, welcome back to Detailing World. In today's video we're going to be talking about different kinds of paint defects. Hi, so welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name's Matt, and today we're going to be talking about different types of paint defects you can find on your car. So yeah, before I go any further, I would just like to say that some of what I will be saying about these defects, there's no hard and fast rule. I'm not going to say I'm 100% right. They can also differ in severity. There's no two defects are going to be the same really. So yeah, this is just to give you an idea what you're looking at and trying to understand some of the terminology you may hear from detailers. And again, as I say, set your expectations, what to expect when you're taking your car to a detailer or you're trying to detail it and correct it yourself. So yeah, in one of the last videos we've just been talking about polishing and waxing, and I mentioned things such as swirl marks and etching. Today we're going to be looking at these paint defects, what they mean, what you can possibly do at home, set your expectations, what you can achieve yourself, or if you're paying a detailer to correct your car, set your expectations on what to expect from the detailer. They should be honest with you and tell you what they can achieve. In some cases you may need to visit a body shop and have paint applied to the car. But yeah, in today's video we're going to go through all the different kinds of defects, how they're caused, and a quick idea on how to fix them, whether it's going to be by yourself or by a professional. So yeah, we'll just get into that. So starting off, these aren't defects, these are more contaminants, and these are tar, iron and overspray. So yeah, tar, that is exactly what it sounds like. That is just tar deposits from off the road, and that can come from hot days when the tar on the road can get a bit soft. It can flick up onto the car, onto the bodywork, and just deposit itself around the wheel arches, which is why that's where you find it located. Now, to deal with tar, that's simply just a case of using chemicals, just using a dedicated tar remover. Sometimes, depending on the size of each piece of tar, you may need to hit it 2 or 3 times, but it's just a case of spraying it on, leave it to work for a minute or two, wipe off, and then just keep repeating and just follow the manufacturer's instructions on the bottle as well. Iron deposits, that is very similar to tar. Again, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's literally bits of iron that have basically fell out of the atmosphere and landed on the paintwork, and these are normally orange specks all over your car and very easy to see on light coloured cars. Depending on where you work and where you live, the severity can differ. So obviously if you're commuting and you're parking near a train station or you're working near a foundry, something like that, there's going to be a lot of iron in the atmosphere. That's going to settle on your car and you will notice that. If you let your brakes run low and you end up with metal on metal, that's just going to kick up a lot of material as well and stick onto the bodywork of the car. To treat this, again, just like with tar, there's chemical products out there, fallout removers, iron removers, and they typically turn purple as well once they've reacted. So that's a case of spray it on, leave it again a minute or two, just follow the instructions on the bottle and wipe it off. Again, you may need to do this 2 or 3 times, but it's a relatively straightforward process. The final contamination is such as overspray. Hopefully this is something you don't come across too often. Overspray can be anything from a body panel repair on your own vehicle and it's blown around onto the other side. It could be a next door neighbour spraying his garden fence or something like that, and it's literally just paint molecules in the air and they've just landed all over your car. People do advise on using thinners and things like that to remove overspray. I personally wouldn't, because of the existing paint on your car anyway. Typically what I would do for overspray is use a clay bar. Always start with the least abrasive as possible and then work your way up. Sometimes you may just have to use your nail or a de-nibbing tool or something like that. If you're unsure with overspray, it's always worth speaking to a detailer. One in your area, they may help you and give you advice free of charge. They may just be able to give you a package just to deal with that. But yeah, overspray, that one, it's a real pain if you do get that. So moving on to defects within the paintwork itself then, we'll start off with the lightest first of all. And typically that's going to be swirl marks and light marring. Swirl marks, they're just basically lots of tiny little scratches, and you typically get them from poor washing technique, washing with sponges and things such as that. A lot of people basically say swirl marks come from washing or rubbing compound in a circular motion. That's not necessarily always true. As I say, it's just a lot of tiny random scratches in all directions I mean, it just looks like a cobweb on your car. Swirl marks can be polished out by hand. You'd end up with biceps like Arnie afterwards, or you can use something like Autoglim's Super Resin Polish to fill those. That's not sponsored by Autoglim, by the way. But yeah, swirl marks, they're the lightest of all paint defects, along with marring. And this is light marring I'm referring to, so things that's been caused from such as clay bar or maybe a dirty microfiber cloth. Marring is similar to swirl marks in that they are all very light scratches again, maybe only a couple of microns deep in the lacquer, but they all go in the same direction. So as I say, it's normally caused from using a clay bar that may have picked up a bit of tar on another panel, and you're just rubbing that along, so you just cause a lot of scratches, or maybe the clay sticks and sort of like smudges across the paintwork. And again, same with the microfiber cloth, if there's something on there or too much product and it sticks and drags, that could cause a mar, and it's almost like a smudge on the paintwork. And again, sometimes you can remove that by hand, depending on the severity of that. If not, then a finishing polish on a pad would usually get rid of some sort of marring. So moving along, you've then got sort of deep scratches. We're not going to go severe yet, but you've got your random scratches, and these are scratches that are caused, again, maybe a piece of grit on your wash mitt or on a microfiber. And these are where they're going to go quite deep into the lacquer but not penetrate through to the colour. These can also be caused by brushing up against the car in a car park. One example I had was the dog decided to jump up the car one day and just scratch the car a little bit with his nails. With scratches like that, you can polish them out, but it all depends on how deep the scratch is and how much of the clear coat you want to polish. So again, this may be where if you're not confident yourself, you may want to speak to a professional and get them to do this. But yeah, to get rid of that, you would have to polish away all of the clear coat to the bottom of the scratch and level it out. So sometimes it's, you know, best not to chase perfection the whole time, just do the best that you can to try and preserve the life of that clear coat. So sticking with the random deep scratches, next we've got the sort of severe scratches, and this is where you really have caught the car and you've probably gone down to the colour coat or even the primer, and this is where you notice, particularly using a machine polisher, your pad starts turning red in this case, or your microfiber cloth may start taking the colour of the paintwork because you've gone through all the way through the clear coat and you're now actually polishing the paintwork itself, the colour coat. To deal with these, typically you would need to visit a body shop. You could use a touch-up kit and try and do that yourself. Imagine stone chips, they're similar sort of results. A stone chip will penetrate the clear coat, the colour coat and the primer as well usually, and you can touch those up. It's not going to look perfect, but it's going to basically protect the bodywork underneath and stop it from rusting. So yeah, with scratches, as I said, so that's one option. Take it to a body shop or a local smart repair who maybe just be able to paint that area and just blend into the surrounding area. So they're the main three types of defects most people will see. The next, there's a couple more defects. These aren't always as common, but they do occur. We'll start off with etching, and this can be from bird muck that's been left on the car. It could be just a couple of hours, it could be a couple of days or even weeks from what you see people leaving their cars. Well, basically the digestive system is full of acid, the bird drops that out, sits on your car and it literally etches through the lacquer. If you leave it on long enough, it can go all the way through the lacquer down to the colour. So it's always wise to get that off as soon as possible. If you do get to it quick enough, then you can sometimes fix that with hand polish or a light finishing pad. If you leave it on too long, it may be a case that you may even have to resort to wet sanding, which is an entirely different video, or compounding the car to remove marring. That really does depend on how long you've left it. Similar to etching, you've then got sort of buffer trails and holograms, and these are defects caused by poor machine work, maybe some body shops where they've just painted it and they want to get it out quickly as possible, or a dealer prep, which is why you hear a lot of bad things about dealer services. I'm not saying all dealers are bad, but typically they just want to polish the car, it looks nice and clean to Joe Blogs, but to us detailers, you can see the holograms going up and down. So the thing with holograms, you can remove them with polishing products or finishing polishes as well. That may sound confusing, but I've just done a video just up here, it's explaining the differences between polishers and waxers and the different levels of polishers. But yeah, holograms, they should be easily removable, maybe with just a finishing pad. Again, this is all depending on severity and your experience. Right then, so the final paint defect, this isn't really a defect, this should be classed on its own. This is vandalism, and this is key marks, or someone took a screwdriver or something down the side of your car. This will generally go through all the layers of paint and right down to the metal. It may even leave a dent in the metal as well, depending on how much force has been used. With this will pretty much always need going to the body shop, or maybe a good smart repair. You could fill these, but typically speaking, a key mark isn't the same as a little ding. It's going to be the length of a panel, maybe even the length of the car, depending how or why it's been vandalised. So yeah, with those defects, they're going to need actual paint, and yeah, there's not much you can do about those. Just don't annoy anyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. If you found this useful, then make sure you hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. If there's anything you think I've missed or you want me to cover more of, just leave a comment below. I'll do my best, and we'll see you in the next video.